Hi there, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm getting into Mcgrath's Holiday 2022 collection with her 5-pan eyeshadow palettes. I have Nude, Allure, and Bronze Bliss. These are the two options for the 5-pan palettes. I picked up both. I was intrigued because this is the first time we've seen these kind of smaller 5-option eyeshadow palettes from Pat. These are cardboard packaging. In the past, she's come out with 6-pan palettes, but in bigger pan sizes. So this is a bit smaller, much more reasonably priced, and you don't have to get the huge holiday palette if that's not your thing. These are a lot more wearable. Just looking at the swatches so far, this is the Bronze Bliss. This is Nude Allure. These are so stunning from the swatches. Some of these seem to be much shinier than the large Mega Mothership palette in Pat's holiday collection this year. Some real beautiful stunners in both of these. I'm glad I picked both of these up, even though I just picked up this huge guy. I did a separate video. You guys can check it out in the link below, but there's not as much eye-catching shininess as what's in these smaller palettes. There are some highlighter shades in the row over here. There are some metallics, but some of the shadows in here aren't quite as high shine as the ones in here. So pretty exciting that she did something different. So it does kind of give you an excuse to pick these up as well, or instead of the big one. I can tell you these take up way less space. They're more curated. I think it's pretty clear. You guys can see, if I can open these, you can create an ill look with this without too much thought. Whereas the big pan, sometimes you get a little bit lost. All right, so I don't have any makeup on. I'm gonna put on my complexion that's not Pat Mcgrath related, except for maybe I'll pick out a blush and a highlight, but otherwise I'm gonna put all that on. But first, let's get into swatches. Swatches in the bright sunlight and sort of in the shadow and direct light. And I kind of twist my arm, so hopefully that's helpful. You can see that twinkling. I'll go ahead and put those up now. Hopefully those swatches are helpful. I just was very amazed by the level of shine. I know shine is not for everyone, sparkle, but those shades look really interesting to me. It makes me want to put them on my eyes. So I did put on my complexion. I'm going to share with you the Pat products that I use. This is a new to me purchase from Pat that I picked up recently. This is the Skin Fetish Highlighter Balm Duo in Nude. I just use the highlighter portion, not the balm portion, on my cheeks. And for blush, I ended up going with my favorite Divine blush, Desert Orchid. It's kind of an orangey bronzy shade. It's got a lot of shimmer to it. I don't know that it will go with both palettes super well, but we shall see. I thought it would be nice to kind of go with something maybe warm toned. Before I get into application though, I do want to go over a couple of details. First, I believe the whole collection is finally out now. The whole holiday 2022 collection is out. You can bundle these up, 2 for $65. That's what I did, or you can get them individually for $36. You save a bit of money by bundling. Also, I would have saved money if I waited to get all the eyeshadows together. You can get the big Mega and these for $138. So there's lots of options to bundle. You can buy the whole dang collection, I'm sure, at one point when it all launches, which is going to be soon. This is all for the holidays, Christmas time. It's super early, but this is how we roll these every year. Yeah, I'm not going to pick up anymore, so this will be my last video unless I want to try more looks with these palettes. This will be my last Pat holiday video. I think for $36, I know we haven't talked about how much is in here. 4 grams of product in here, 0.14 fluid ounces. I don't know that it's super important that there's tons of products in these holiday palettes unless you're like, oh, I never buy makeup and I pan every eyeshadow. It's just not very often you're gonna pan eyeshadow unless the formula is kind of different and loose and you do love it, you use it a lot. It's possible to hit pan for sure, but on every single shadow, probably not likely. I'm gonna first, so that's kind of the details of the collection. You guys saw the packaging here. It's very similar to the outer packaging of the actual palettes. Okay, and you will see shade names on the back there. So very, very useful. Got magnetic cardboard packaging. You guys have seen me struggle open these, but it's not really that hard. I'm just whatever special. I will note that what's different, I don't know if you guys saw it from the swatches, both palettes have a cream to powder formula. With this palette, it's not the matte shade. I think it's this shade. It's this sparkly shade that's this cream to powdery, really wet. This one feels soft. This is the one in this palette. And then in this palette, Nude Venus, it's the matte shade. It's this non-sparkly shade that's the cream to powder formula. So they did things a bit different with this one. So I thought that was interesting. I'm appreciating that they're including different types of formulas. I think that's cool. I'm hoping Pat does more of those because from the swatches it felt really nice, very pigmented. These last 12 months has the ingredients for each shadow on the back here, and that is pretty much it. Self-explanatory little palettes. I do like the packaging, I do like the size of these. All right, finally into application. I'm gonna start with Bronze Bliss first. Don't love this smoky kind of charcoaly formula. I felt like the swatch was a little bit weak. I have to start somewhere, so I'm gonna use that one first. This guy right here, which is La Vie en Noir. Oh yeah, that's dark. That's plenty pigmented. It just looked a little patchy in the swatch, but sometimes mattes can do that. It wasn't like super buttery or anything when I felt it, so that might be what's throwing me off. But we're gonna have a dark base with this eye. Remember, this is the first time me trying this formula, this palette out, so it's not gonna be super perfect, but you'll get a gist of the shades. So you guys can see on my light skin tone what that's looking like. Very gray, smoky. If you're looking for black, this is not black. It's very much a smoky gray. This next journey, so we have some highlighty shades that I wasn't super impressed with the highlights in both of these palettes. This one especially felt a little bit weak. This is really the shiniest star of the show, and these are really our two bronze options. So I'm going to go with the lighter bronze option first, sort of on the outer part over here. Oh, that is pretty and really easy to apply. I don't know that this shade feels particularly unique, but not bad, pretty enough. The deeper prawn shade is definitely more of a brown. Yeah, I think the swatch is not very remarkable either in terms of bronze. I think this is where the star of the show is, so I'm going to start with that, focusing on the inner part of the eye. This is a wetter formula, so I'm going to use a synthetic brush. This is from Cliona. Cream formula. This is Lunar Luxury. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty and shiny. This shade screams, look at me, disco ball, sort of very much holiday in a very stunning way. I know not everyone loves high shine, sort of chrome effect sparkle, but I think it's fun to throw something like this on every once in a while. Holidays is a good excuse. Look how pretty that is. Just to kind of brighten up this very smoky eye over here. Super, super stunning. It is like a light gold. It has a lot of silver in the glitter, in my opinion. Very, very reflective. We could even make this more high impact with the use of a finger. And a layer over the top. Now we get that kind of gilded gold look, but shiny champagne light gold. I'm tempted to use this deep bronze shade, Bronzed Mink, underneath the eye. Probably way too much shine, way too much going on, but you guys get the gist. I just want more of a balance with the smoke there. So the only shade I really didn't use is this highlighting shade. I could, you know, kind of layer it over the top in here. I could put it on my brow bone. Let's try a little highlighting shade on the brow bone. This is Nude Moon. So we can say we use every shade in here. Definitely don't need to do that, but here we are. That is pretty. So I don't have any eyeliner or mascara on. I will try to finish off both looks with mascara. I'll show you that all completed at the end. Let's jump into Nude Allure. Now, just going off of looks, if I had to pick one palette, this was the one that appealed to me more. But I do feel like this one is kind of missing that really high shine that this palette has. But I'm not sure which color, you know, would be super shiny. Maybe this sort of light shade. I don't know that it needs it because the nuance to some of these shimmers is definitely more dramatic than the sort of bronzy shades we saw. There's a little bit more to these. When I guess you guys saw that in the swatches. But let's create a look. I am going to start with the cream to powder shade, which is Mahogany Angel. And again, synthetic brush. This is another Cliona brush. A lot on here. This is going to be really dark. I just tapped off a little bit on the back of my hand because I don't want to overdo it. Can always add more. But you guys can see it's got this warm brown base, very common for Pat McGrath to have a warm matte brown eyeshadow in her palette. She has it in almost, seems like almost every single one. So here's another one, but the texture of this is different, so at least that's unique, right? We have a different texture. Now from far away, it's probably going to look the same as any old other powder matte, but this blends pretty nicely for it being different. I think that looks actually really pretty, and for some people might be easier to apply than Pat's regular mattes, which are very, very pigmented. But I would still use a light hand, not go super heavy in these wet formula. It's still concentrated. Because all of these shades are kind of in the medium range, they aren't super deep, we could really put any of these on the lid and probably be happy. I kind of want to go into this mauve-y color just because it's different. So So I'm gonna do that. This is Plum Eclipse. And it's got some shimmery glitter to it. It's got some shine. It's very much pinkish purple. I don't know if plum's quite the right word for it, but it's certainly feminine and pretty, and I feel like this isn't a completely unique shade to Pat, but pretty nonetheless. You guys see it's not quite that high shine, high impact finish. Maybe I can put something lighter. Let's do the middle shade here, Coral Kiss, and see what that does. All right, we get a more reflective, brighter shine with Coral Kiss. It's definitely lighter than that plum shade, but not super light. So it still kind of blends all together, you know? Very pretty effect, both of these together. I feel like I don't need to put on this last one over here, Naked Bronze. I feel like it might be a little bit much. Maybe you could pop it on the under eye. Let's see. I'm gonna use Mahogany Angel on the under eye, or matte color, to get some balance here. Let's try to use every shade. So I'll try Naked Bronze under the eye. Okay, I don't know that I'm noticing a huge difference between the bronze and the coral. I mean, it is there, but not a huge color difference. I don't know if you guys can see that. All right, all we have left is our highlighter shade, which is Mercurial Rose. What is up with the names of these? Very creative, Pat. Okay, so using a tiny brush, taking the highlight on the inner corner. Ooh. Sometimes a small little concentrated brush can make, actually I think this highlight is pretty impactful from the swatch, more impactful than the other palette highlight shade. What am I saying? What I was gonna say is sometimes a small little concentrated brush can make up for a lack of high shine, but this one is high shine. That is a pretty light pink highlight for sure. Do I want to put it up here? I think that might be too much. All right, so I put on all the colors of all the of these palettes. I'm going to finish up, polish this up, put some mascara on. I feel like if anything, this one needs a little eyeliner. Maybe this one too. I will be back with the final look. All right, y'all, here is the final look. I am loving both of these looks for very different reasons. So I completed this look with just a waterproof matte brown eyeliner. I've been using the About Face one. This is equestrian. It doesn't really matter what brown liner you use. Something just a little bit deeper, I suggest, along the lash line to kind of contrast how much light shine is happening here. But I have many brown eyeliners. You could do some bronzy liner if you like, or no liner at all, whatever you choose. And then for this line, this side, I did a purpley maroon matte liner from Chanel. I chose Prune Intense, the Stylo U waterproof number 36 for this side, just on the top line. And I think it goes well. I do have a Victoria Beckham eyeliner Bordeaux that would also work well. Same sort of maroon color story. just to deepen things up but still stay in the same family without being too harsh black. That's the vibe. And for lips, I did the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in Iconic for lip liner. Lipstick, I did the Matte Trance Pat McGrath lipstick in Softcore, which is kind of a nudie pink. And then for lip gloss on top, I did Pat McGrath Lush Gloss in Divine Rose. I tried to choose some lips that would work for either side. I'd say maybe I tend to, this might favor this side a little bit more monochromatic, but you could definitely do something lighter for both, more nude, maybe a little more natural, not glossy, but you could really vamp up this glamorous shiny side with something deeper, red even, if you really want to go there for holiday. Doesn't really matter. There's a lot of options with Pat, and she is coming out with a nude and a red with this collection. I don't plan to purchase, but I could see, you know, either one going with these looks. So I like these eyeshadow palettes. I'm getting into my review section of the video. I really enjoyed them, and I like that these are a bit different than what we've seen before. Different textures. Some aspects are a little bit boring, but let's start with Bronze Bliss, which honestly I think is probably the most typical holiday and typical flashy that you sort of think of with holiday makeup. If you're looking for a holiday smaller palette, I would go with this one just because it gives you that really beautiful high shine, a new formula to try with this wet cream to powder formula that I think looks so freaking amazing. It is quite a lot. If you want something super glam, this is the palette. This is, to me, more of your typical what you think of a glamorous palette. And all of these shades are really safe. So if you want to give it as a gift, you want someone to have more glam in their lives, this would be the more typical glam palette. You have the, you know, deep smoky shade. So I think it's a kind of a no-brainer in terms of a gift. If you're a little bit worried about your friend going wild with this palette and you're worried that they're going to put glitter on their eyes every day, they're not going to reserve it for a special occasion, and you're not about them having that life, you know, maybe they need a little bit of education on where to place things, then this may not be as safe. You can go a little over the top with it. I will say that. Now, if you want the safer palette, the more, I don't want to say user-friendly, but just it's not as dramatic palette, you could use this well beyond the holidays because there's no high impact shine shade like the other one. I would probably go with Nude Allure as the safer route. But remember, this is not everyone's color story. We got the warm matte, which I really like. This is our cream formula in this palette. I think it was really easy to blend. This is a very high shine highlighter. I like both of these shades a lot. But the rest of these shades, we're getting into more, I don't know, mauve-y, rosy sort of territory. A little bit bronze here, purpley plum, and coral. I mean, all three versions of these shades, you're playing it pretty safe. They're pretty neutrally colors with, you know, a little bit of an edge to them. So I think if you're worried about your friends, you know, kind of messing things up, this is the safer choice. But, you know, if you want to put sparkle all over your eye with a highlight only, you can do that. That's fine. It's not going to hurt anybody. But I do think this is a pretty one. Is it very sort of a unique color story? No, I don't think of this color story when I think of holiday either. This just looks like a smaller version of what Pat includes in her other palettes, to be honest. So just not terribly unique, even though I gravitate towards it. This is not a new palette for Pat. This, I think, color story, it's not really new to Pat either, but you know, she does plenty of bronze, so you could say the same thing for this. I think it's just this shade that kind of makes it stand out. That's why I'm like, oh, it's a little more unique. I don't know. You could probably convince me either way if you talk to me enough about this one too, that, oh, it's Pat McGrath over and over and over again. I get that. It's just different vibes. I like the format of this though. I like the price. It's a little high for what you get, but I do like the price if you want to give a gift of Pat. These are convenient. These will give you different kinds of glam. So I'm here for it. I like these. Do I think you need these and the big palette? Maybe. Probably not. This is a lot of eyeshadow. But you can see there's a different, you get sort of that bronzy brown in there, so you probably don't need both. You also get sort of that corally rosy tone in there too. But you can see they're not exactly the same shades in all of there's no really repeats. But you do kind of get the bronzy rosy vibe a little bit in this palette. So, you know, you could argue, well, you get everything in here. But if you don't want to commit to a big palette like this, I like this option. If you're a Pat McGrath collector, you probably already bought these, but it's not really a conversation. But if you're a choosy Pat McGrath collector, do you want these over the big palette? I really like the shiny finishes in here, especially this one. Oh, I'm getting these wrong. Especially this one. I think this is somewhat special and probably something you would want to try. If you're over bronze though, don't pick it up. I mean, you gotta like what you see here. I would say the big palette's missing something like this, that really showstopper holiday shade. So if you're looking for a holiday shade, this is it in my opinion. Otherwise, I don't know that this really screams like holiday looks. You can totally get a holiday look out of it with golds and sort of red tones and such. You can also throw in that holiday Christmas tree green if you really want to. But this is just a more fun, colorful palette in my opinion, with some neutrals thrown in. To me, this is just a bit more glamorous holiday. But you know, everyone has their own opinions of what a holiday eye should be. Is it just pure shiny gold? If it's not, if that doesn't speak to you, then this palette won't either. I know for me, holiday is like lashes, doing something different with your makeup, out of the norm. It could be anything. It could mean doing a winged liner. That's your holiday look. But I don't know. I would say out of any of the palettes I got with this collection, this made me excited, if that makes a difference for you. Like, this got me excited, this wet formula. I don't know why. If she had a palette full of all of these, that would be really fun. But I like the small convenience of it. If you're like, oh, I don't want to spend a lot of money, but I want something different, I want something from the collection, I like this pink one. I think I made that clear. I know sometimes I say contradictory statements in my reviews, like, well, I could see why you would want it, but just me personally, I think this one is the winner out of the two. Exact opposite how I thought I would think. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's what you're attracted to. These are both pretty. You can create some really glam looks from them. And also remember, you don't have to use every shade every time. You can just use 1 or 2 shades from the palette and that's it. You can use it all year long. It does not have to be just for holiday. You guys know that. I'm stating the obvious. Just a couple notes on the rest of my face. The complexion I didn't mention. I've been using this Merit complexion stick thing a lot. This is Dune. This is the Minimalist something complexion stick. It's so easy to apply. I blend it out with my Sonia G Fusion brush and I move on. And the concealer I've been loving is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin, using it over and over underneath my eyes, shade Too Fair. Been loving that. Also been changing it up between my Merit bronzing stick, the Rare Beauty one, interchangeable. This one's a little more sheer, a little more dewy. This is more opaque color, but I used this one today. And then I used, as I mentioned, the Pat McGrath blush. I don't know that I love it for either side today, to be honest. This might have been the wrong choice of blush. Maybe something cooler and rosier. What do you guys think? So that's it for my review of these little palettes here. I hope she comes out with more of these, to be honest. Let's do mini motherships of these with the best, most popular shades from those palettes. Or let's do all special shades. Tiny pans. You can increase the price, that's fine. But I hate lugging around my motherships when I travel. So having something like this with that quality would be awesome. Probably not going to happen though. Alright guys, let me know what you're picking up from the holiday collection. Are you guys into it this year? What are your thoughts? Please comment below. I know some of you already picked up the Mega palette. You guys are into it. I know some of you probably didn't comment if you're not getting it, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you think? Are you turned off by these colors? I know a lot of you like neutrals, but color is fun sometimes. Alright guys, let me know if you like this video in the comments below. Click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys.